Hi, I'm Mr. Crompton, and today we're going to be covering safety for the drill press. The drill press is this machine right here. It's used for drilling holes into a piece of wood in a desired angle. Most of the time you're going to be drilling at a 90-degree angle straight down into the piece of wood. Before we get started, let's cover any kind of safety that you need for the drill press. Number one, you'll see that I'm wearing safety glasses. You need to wear safety glasses for every machine that you're going to use in this room. Number two, you want to make sure that you don't have any kind of stuff hanging either off of your hair or off of your clothes that could get caught up in the drill itself. That's a safety hazard and it could be very dangerous. And other than that, you just kind of want to make sure of where you're standing, but we'll cover that stuff later on. So the first thing we're going to go over here as far as the machine itself is the parts on the machine. Now this particular machine has a ton of different parts that all work together to complete your goal. The first part right here is going to be your chuck. The chuck is the part that the drill bit actually slides up into. So if you take a drill bit, you can actually loosen this chuck. This particular chuck is a keyless chuck. So you can actually just twist this by hand and you can either loosen or tighten the chuck by spinning it in either direction. So I'll spin this down and we'll get our drill bit in there. And you can just see that it tightens down like that. Now in this situation with a keyless chuck, you're done. The other type of chuck that you can have for a drill press is a keyed chuck. And the main difference you'll see on a keyed versus a keyless chuck is there is what looks like teeth or gears along the top of a keyed chuck, and you have to have a special key that you then stick in there and tighten that drill bit down the rest of the way. If you are using a drill press that has a keyed chuck, you want to make sure that you don't leave the key inside of the chuck when you turn the machine on. If you do leave the key sticking into the side of the chuck whenever you turn the machine on, it will actually spin around, fly off, and come flying at you, and it could hurt you. The next part of the machine would be the table right here. The table is where the material rests when you're drilling a hole. You need to make sure that the material is resting flat on the table. You can't have it lifted up in any way because then it could, cause some safety issues there. You have your lever on the side, which will lower and raise the machine. You have your on-off switch on the front right here, and you also will have on the inside of this a speed selection. On the other side of the machine over here, you'll see that there is an actual hand crank. When you turn this machine on, the digital readout on this particular machine will tell you how fast the drill is spinning. For most applications in this room, it should be around 1,200 RPMs. The other part of this machine that you really can't see right now would be on the back end over here. This would be a depth stop. You can actually raise or lower the depth stop depending on how far into the wood that you'd like to go with your drill bit. The table on this machine is also adjustable. On the back end of the machine over here, you can see that you can lower the table or raise the table by loosening the particular lock on the back and then hand cranking the crank to take the machine up or down. So the next thing we'll do here is I'll show you how to drill a hole into a piece of wood using the drill press. There are multiple different types of drill bits that you can use for this particular machine. The one that we have in actually is the most common type of drill bit. That would be called a twist bit. And when people think of drill bits, generally they're thinking of a twist bit. Other drill bits that we have here in the lab would be a spade bit, which is used for drilling bigger holes quickly, or a Forstner bit, which is also used for drilling large holes, but it gives you a flat end on the hole that you're trying to drill. So once you have a hole that you need to drill and you have your piece of wood, you can mark where that hole should be on your piece of wood. You can lay it down on the machine, and the other thing that you're going to want to do is clamp the piece of material down. These are quick clamps. The quick clamps can be used for holding the wood down. These are the fastest way to hold it down. Ultimately, what you're going to have to do is take your clamp it down on the piece of wood that you're going to drill your hole into. That way your hands are free from the piece of wood. You actually get that little bit of extra support. You turn the drill press on with this switch on the front. You'll see that this machine right now is set at 1,387 RPMs. I'm actually going to crank that down a little bit. So we're right in the 1200 range. Right now it's an 1177, that's good enough. So your next move is going to be to use the lever to lower and then raise the drill bit so that you have your hole drilled in your piece of wood. So the only other thing here would be that if you're trying to drill into a longer piece of wood, I have a longer piece of wood right here. This is a piece of oak. It actually sticks out past the side of the table. When you're drilling into a longer piece of wood, you want to make sure that that longer piece is sticking out to your left-hand side to make sure that if the drill bit does bite into the piece of wood and it spins, it will spin over and contact the back of the machine, rather than if it was on your right, it will spin around and it could hit you in the hip, and that would hurt. So we'll do the same procedure. You kind of line the hole up. You grab a clamp. You clamp it down. You turn on the machine. And you drill your hole just the same. The last bit of safety information would be if you're drilling into a piece of metal and you want to make a hole into a piece of steel or aluminum or any type of metal, you want to make sure that you use a center punch and punch that mark into a hole before you drill into it. If you don't have a center punch on a piece of metal and you don't punch a little hole into where you're trying to drill, the drill bit will actually wander all over the place and it won't drill a straight hole. But we won't be drilling any metal here at the high school shop.